Hi, happy April 9th. It's Friday and it's National Dive Bar Day. Hopefully next month I can go there as a vaccinated person. Let's see if we can get to that, y'all. It's also International ASMR Day. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do you hear that relaxing discussion about today's events? Very good. It's also National Name Day, so feel free to give yourself a new name today or any other day because who gives a damn? Cis people, you can also change your names. If you don't like it, you can change it. That's perfectly okay. You want to put on a new name? I want to hear it. Put it in the comments. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Is your name like and subscribe? Good call. That's a good fit for this particular day. Did you like and subscribe? Good. Our top news story today is that an old man has died. It's very important. Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, died today at the age of 99, just 2 short months before his 100th birthday. Prince Philip was recently hospitalized, where it's possible that one of the L's in Philip were removed, causing his death. According to the late prince's wishes, he expressed in a Guardian interview, he will be reincarnated as a deadly virus. So we all know he's been dead at least a year. However, it's not entirely clear what caused the prince's death. Some say it was a beverage. Some say, like Fox News host Brian Kilmeade, that the 90-year-old man died due to stress brought on by the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle interview.
If you factor in this, there are reports that he was enraged after the interview and the fallout from the interview with Oprah Winfrey.
Brian Kilmeade also issued a statement on his statement, which said, of course this is about Markle being black and living her life. I remember that one time I said that Americans were impure thanks to race mixing? Remember that?
We keep marrying other species and other ethnics and other.
Are you sure you're not suffering from some of the causes
Swedes,
of dementia right
see,
now?
the problem is the Swedes have pure genes because they marry other Swedes because that's the rule. Finns marry other Finns, so they have a pure society. In America, we marry everybody.
In Kilmeade's defense, we still don't know if Markle has ever mentioned DMX, a rapper who also died today at the age of 50. In pandemic news, the nation is healing from the COVID-19 crisis, and nothing can prove it more than a mass shooting, which another one has resumed. However, in a fight against this return to normalcy, President Biden has announced a slew of gun control actions, stating that they are a public health crisis. So, without thinking, the NRA issued a press release with the same talking points they've had for years. You can read all about it in this book, Mass Shooting Political Playbook, From Going Postal to Going to School and Shooting Children, from NRA Press. Biden's plan is to take executive action, partly because no laws are likely to be passed because of the filibuster. Yeah, we're still talking about that. We're talking about West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, seen here showing how little he gives a fuck about you. He said that he is not open to weakening the filibuster in any way, shape, or form. Which is interesting because unless we're talking about the filibuster, nobody really mentions Joe Manchin. He went on to say, well, what makes you think I want to actually use my power to do something good instead of making people dance? Do the filibuster dance. The good news is that next week he'll change his mind again so we can see his name in the headlines. Representative Matt Gaetz, seen here allowing the monsters in his mind to take over for one brief second until he again pushes them under until he gets home and takes it down in a piece of steak that needs tenderizing, is in trouble. He appears to be circling the drain, which Gaetz doesn't mind as the drain was still installed less than 18 years ago. The embattled Republican lawmaker has been tied with an associate who paid women for various sexual things via the popular money exchange app Venmo. This week, though, some of his staffers issued a statement that he has treated them all with professionalism and integrity, which is not a surprise, as Gaetz seemed to prefer women that are too young to hold down a job. No women's names were attached to that statement. He's also now under a House Ethics Committee investigation. Gaetz' popularity with conservatives in the evangelical wing is very strange because Mr. Gaetz presumes he claims to get laid regularly, but he's not married. I guess that's okay now since Trump. Thanks. In unemployed rich person news, many of Trump's former staffers are having trouble getting hired. Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao is one of those, as is Mick Mulvaney and Betsy DeVos. In fact, after reviewing S&P 500's data that we have data for, about half, no former cabinet officials are joining the boards, which is strange because at this point in 2009, 4 of W's cabinet secretaries have been hired. That's W. What a world. Except for Mike Pompeo, seen here preparing to loosen his tie because he gets no respect. No respect at all. The former secretary, that was a terrible impression. The former Secretary of State has taken a position at Fox News. Finally, after all these years, Fox News hires somebody known for supporting President Trump. And in case you thought I liked the government news, migrant children are still being held in captivity as they are processed. But this time, the centers have been renamed to the delightful detention domes because the Orange Man isn't doing it, so it's not bad. In Howard Dean Howell news, Howard Dean, seen here looking a little like Michael Keaton for some reason, or is that just me, has been lobbying against allowing generic COVID-19 vaccines for developing countries. The liberal-turned-lobbyist claims that he is not a lobbyist, but he really is. His claims make sense when you understand that that's how he works, and he now works for Denton's, a law and lobbying firm, and no, he doesn't work for the law division. A question here is an intellectual property waiver, which, if granted, would allow countries like India and South Africa, among others, to manufacture the current crop of COVID vaccines for distribution worldwide. While the COVID-19 research was largely publicly funded, out of habit, Dean says that vaccine development is expensive and people should die to fund it, even though, as I said, it was funded publicly largely. Anyway, also in vaccine news, the EU announced support for mandatory vaccinations among children entering school. Local man Carl Wellington said that such things violated his freedom. That's all he said, freedom. It violated his freedom. He doesn't even go to school. When it was pointing out the fact that the man lived in Belvedere, Illinois, and not the European Union, he pulled out a gun and tried to shoot me. He missed. He was a little drunk, being preemptively celebrating the National Dive Bar Day. Vaccine passports have emerged as a concern throughout the right wing. As many companies begin to open up again, will they be able to require vaccinations at their doors? Some are calling this the mark of the beast. Awfully roundabout way for the beast to get his marks, considering we all have social security numbers and everything already. Right? Also in COVID news, Michigan cases continue to surge as Governor Gretchen Whitmer continues to do nothing. I mean, last year the Michigan legislature has sued Whitmer and removed many of her emergency powers. However, there's no excuse, according to the Michigan legislature, for her for not doing the powers that they took away. Also in state legislature news, and in big government news, Arkansas, again, they're preparing legislation that protects teachers who intentionally misgender transgender students. Because this is the most depressing thing in Arkansas right now. Let's move on to organized labor. Apparently, Amazon workers voted against the union in Alabama. Union supporters, they could have won easily if they thought of calling the union the Crimson Tide. A paint plant exploded in Columbus, Ohio, and it killed 1 and injured 8. The company, Yankton Majestic Paints, which had been previously cited several times for safety violations, is quite clear that their experimental Instapaint method of redecorating has a few bugs to work out. They're going to try again next week. In just what we need news, Facebook will start rolling out satire tags on Facebook, as opposed to other programs that they don't have any control over, for common satire sites like The Onion. Apparently, fighting proposed law requires constant vigilance. In Only Watch the First 15 Minutes of a Movie news, Elon Musk's partner with Neuralink said that he could probably build a real Jurassic Park. Now, I might be wrong, but I'm kind of hoping that it's a reality show about venture capitalists. And sure, let's trust Google news. Google has announced Google Stack, a secure repository for people to store paperwork. You can scan and keep PDFs of documents. The app is currently only available to Android users on the Play Store. Google is expected to announce it is ending development of the Google Stack app in approximately 3 days, with all user data will be deleted in 4. Scientists have announced a different method a la CRISPR gene editing technology to control gene expression. They use this to turn off and on effects of a given gene. It's also reversible. It can be delivered in the same method like some of the COVID vaccines that we've seen. Super cool. This works on an epigenetic level, so it does not change the DNA itself. So in that way, it's quite unlike the CRISPR technology, a point which will doubtlessly be parroted by every annoying asshole you meet that thinks he's smart. And finally, in even cooler news, about 81 degrees negative Fahrenheit news, on Sunday, NASA is expected to launch their Perseverance helicopter on Mars. This transplanetary aircraft, the first of its kind, is expected to give transphobes a variation on the tired joke where they identify now as a transplanetary helicopter. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps for them to get new jokes. So that's the news at Gen for Friday, April 9th, 2021. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I'll be back on Monday, April 11th to give you the 411. I'm sorry. That was super bad. That was a really bad joke. I'm sorry. Anyway, please remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends and your neighbors and your sheepdog friends and your llamas and everything else. Put the URL in the bottle and throw it into the ocean. Join the Patreon so I can continue my work. Do whatever you can to spread the word about the news at Gen, because I love you and you love me too. I don't know if you love me, but I love you. Thank you.